Dead Child Duo podcast episode number 43. How you doing, Alexander?
Doing well, Andy. How are you?
Good. I almost forgot the number directly after us talking about what number it is.
There was a little bit of a pause there. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it happens.
How's your week, Alexander?
Same old, man. Lots of work, busy.
Yeah.
But good overall. How was your week?
All right. I haven't done anything. I quit my job. No, they're just not really doing anything.
When does school start for you?
I move Friday.
You move on Friday, okay,
So when this comes out tomorrow.
Ah, true. Yeah.
So there's no weekend league this week. What'd you do in your free time with no weekend league?
Well, we streamed World of Warcraft on Saturday. That was an experience.
I remember that. That never happened.
It definitely happened. And I definitely got a text the next day saying that World of Warcraft is a 3 out of 10, which I...
Who sent that?
It was you, man, and I find it incredulous. There's no way World of Warcraft is a 3 out of 10.
Any of that.
I mean,
I see a picture. That said it.
The thing about World of Warcraft is this. At the very beginning, it's a lot of work. Playing the low levels again was kind of illuminating for me because it made me understand how they make so much money in that game selling boosts. I think they're up to $60 right now. And I think the main reason for it is, you could boost a character to level 110, I think, for $60 versus grinding for hours and hours and hours. And there, every piece of gear you pick up until about really level 110 is pretty much a piece of junk. So it was kind of interesting to revisit a game that, quite honestly, is about 15 years old.
Did you play anything else?
I played a lot of Madden. I did grind their House Rules event, and
Which
I got the old one. I didn't have time to grind House Rules this week.
The OT one?
Yeah, the OT one was quite the grind, but did it. And been playing Madden this week, preparing for weekend league, solo battles, that kind of thing. So trying to get to 1 million coins. I'm really close, but and then as far as I guess we're going to use this as a segue. Been playing World of Warcraft a little bit here and there. A little bit of Pokemon TCG as always, and I can't really think of anything else. In addition, watching hasn't been much, man. I just haven't watched any movies really, other than In Bruges, which is this week's DCD Film Club.
I kind of made up for it then.
Yeah, I've been watching New Girl. I'm almost all the way through season 1. Yeah, it's pretty good, man. It actually gets a little bit funnier. It started off not being as funny as I thought it would be.
It has a huge drop off at the end.
Well, there's 7 seasons, so it's going to be quite some time before I get there. Anyway, what have you been watching and playing this week, Andy?
I played a Madden, and take a breath for a second. I watched A Close Shave Incident on and Off a Mountain Road, Superbad, The Thing, The Amazing Jonathan documentary, Christine, A Matter of Loaf and Death, Invader Zim, Enter the Floorbus, Starman, VHS, TDF Really Works, Bo, Munchausen, Big Trouble in Little China, basically the Turtle Head, C'est La Vie, Seven Psychopaths, Ready or Not, Good Boys, and the DCD Film Club for this week in Bruges.
How'd you like Good Boys?
It is alright.
It's alright.
I gave that one a 5 out of 10.
I feel like it's important.
If you want my ratings for anything else, check out letterboxd.com.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I feel like it's important to support movies like that, though. Because, everything's, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but everything's so Disney-centric nowadays. Anyway, moving on to listener questions. This one comes from Colby, at Colbster409 on Twitter. He says, do you think Antonio Brown's helmet dilemma is on his behalf or Hard Knocks' behalf for media drama / attention? So I get the conspiracy theory thinking that it's a Hard Knocks angle. I don't think it is. I legitimately think Antonio Brown is out of his mind.
I think it's a different conspiracy theory. I believe another one is that he just really doesn't want to practice. He's using an excuse not to practice.
You could be right on that, I think in general, him and his agent they've lost their minds collectively. They put out a statement saying that he's been wearing that helmet since Pee Wee football, and like we know that's not true, and there's no way he even wore it at a high school level.
To be fair, the dude has a bleached mustache.
He does have a bleached mustache. I just think the guy is out of his mind. He got everything he wanted. He got the trade out of Pittsburgh. He got to go to a team that was on his list of destinations. He vetoed the Buffalo trade. He got the big deal. And he got the big guaranteed money. And now I feel like it's put up or shut up time, and the guy doesn't want to put up. And I feel bad for Raiders fans, man. I feel bad.
There's nothing else to look forward to.
I mean, you get Antonio Brown. Your team's moving to Las Vegas in a year.
You had a good draft. I'll give him that.
That's true. They did have a good draft. I don't know, man. I hate teams that relocate, by the way. Little side tangent there. I've always been against teams relocating unless there's a really good reason, like the Supersonics in Seattle, right? They were playing in a dump. The city didn't want to even do so much as help.
What about what's your thoughts on the Tampa Bay thing where they're playing half their games in Quebec, I think it is, and then half their games in Tampa?
I hate that. I don't think that'll actually happen. I don't think that
It got accepted by the league.
It's ridiculous that that's going to potentially be a thing.
I think it was Quebec.
It's Montreal because that's where the Expos were. And there's apparently like a bunch of interest in bringing baseball back. And I just don't like it, man. I think that sports are a weird thing to think about. You know, like the players make a lot of money. I know that somebody recently on Twitter was going on this rant with me about players make too much money and that kind of thing. And I mean, I
get
it.
There's an argument in your Discord about players being greedy. I'm just like, get the money when you can.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is about making as much money as you can while you still can, but
it's a business.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. I get that people say, well, teachers and firefighters should make more money than athletes, and I get that, but nobody's buying tickets to watch someone teach math, you know? And as unfair as that is, it is a massive entertainment industry, and when you bring athletic ability to entertainment industries like the NFL, NBA, etc., you know, like you're going to get paid for it. But one of the weirdest things I think is like these billionaire owners, they own these sports teams like the Tampa Bay Rays, but they don't want to spend money on a stadium. They think that the taxpayers should foot the bill or at least part of it. And that has never made any sense to me. And it's all done under this guise of, oh, it'll create jobs. They built the Amway here. It didn't create that many jobs, man. Most of those people are contractors, not making a lot of money. Anyway.
I mean, the stadium itself creates jobs.
You know, a lot of those people didn't get paid. Believe it or not, a lot of the bonds on the Amway, the new Amway, were converted into junk bonds because the payments just haven't been made.
Stadiums have workers.
Yeah, I know, but they're just contractors that work a couple hours a week. That's not really creating jobs.
And also, I mean, I understand like it adds tourism.
Mm-hmm.
It like if someone like if someone's moving there, it's something like, oh, they got a single A baseball team, or like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd rather put the money into infrastructure. If I'm Orlando, and I've lived here my whole life. There's a lot of other things we could have done with that money. Anyway, moving on to the next question from Dumbest Sphinx, at Dumbest Sphinx on Twitter. He says, I'm sorry, Papa, for saying you have bad taste in movies. I like Fight Club. Forgive. All is forgiven, I guess. I wasn't even mad, but I know it's a thing. Like, I know it's kind of, I guess I am a little bit bitter because people who watch or listen to this show frequently disparage my taste in movies, but I know Freddy Got Fingered sucked. Okay, I get sweetie. It. Yeah, listen, sweetie. I realize that sucked, but a lot of the other ones I picked were pretty good. And I know Another Earth is kind of like on the fringe, but it's good. It's good. I stick by that. Anyway, moving on to entertainment. Mortal Kombat 11 first DLC to include Spawn, the Joker, and the T-800 Terminator. Andy, what do you think about this?
I don't really have that much thoughts on it. The only reason I'm asking is why is Terminator so relevant right now? Apparently, he got announced to be in Gears 5, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, now this.
You're right. That
why is Terminator... He's not relevant. Like, he has a new movie coming out. Okay.
That was my first thought, is I know there's a new movie coming out.
Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It is kind of a mystery to me. Like, where this resurgence in interest in Terminator has come from.
Maybe, I don't know who owns the rights to Terminator. Warner Bros. Universal, I don't know. Maybe they're just like shilling them out for cheap. Or not even like, just throw them in the game, why not?
That was kind of my thought on it, is that it could be whoever owns the rights, basically shilling it. I believe, I could be wrong on this, I believe Lionsgate has the movie rights to it. Because I recently bought T2, and it's a Lionsgate movie because you can't watch it on Movies Anywhere. That's how I know that.
Apparently, James Cameron owned the rights.
Yeah.
And then he sold the rights for $1.
Really?
Yeah.
To who?
I don't know.
I actually have a question for you, Andy.
Huh.
This one, I have never met somebody who liked this movie other than me. Did you like Terminator Salvation?
No.
Damn. I'll never meet someone who liked that movie. I think I'm the only person alive.
I played the game.
The game was lit, dude. The one on 360.
Easy 1000 Gs.
It was an easy 1000 Gs. It was a lot of fun.
that's most of our conversations. Easy 1000 Gs.
Well, I was working at GameStop at the time, and the movie came out, and I was like, I'll eventually see the movie. But this game, though, like,
if you beat the game on hard, you got
they used to. If we had more than one copy of a game, they used to let us take one home
owned by Disney.
And play it. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Paramount, Disney.
Jesus. I don't know. And another thing that I realized is there's a massive gap in between the releases of the Terminator movies. Like, I'm looking at this now. I didn't realize this.
1915, 5, 03,
yeah.
91, 84.
That's a huge gap. It's
and the best
crazy.
one came out in 91.
Terminator 2, huh? That's the best one?
T2.
I guess so.
It's the only one I would say is a good movie. And I haven't seen it in a while, so my opinion could change.
You know what's crazy about Mortal Kombat 11? Going back to that, I haven't even played it yet.
I don't own it.
I wanted to buy it so badly. I really love Mortal Kombat 10. I put probably hundreds of hours into Mortal Kombat 10.
Wait, you like Mortal Kombat? What? No.
Wait, what?
I'm making a joke, Scorpion thing.
That I'm really still ticked off about that. Like, I have no idea why. I just pinged the mic there because I was trying not to burst out laughing, but I have no idea why you decided to start playing with the tentacle. If you don't know what the tentacle is, don't look it up. They're jerks. They wouldn't send me what they said they were going to send me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of movies from the 90s, Matrix 4 is announced. Do you care?
Yeah, I do. And I don't even know. I didn't know that those came out in the 90s.
The first one did.
Yes, the first one I believe came out in 99.
Yeah.
And so the Matrix movies were a big thing for me. And the reason I say that is I originally saw the first one hanging out. I didn't see it in theaters. I was hanging out at my friend's house. Every time my friend had a birthday, a bunch of us would go over his house, and we'd all spend the night there. And we'd stay up really late playing Super Nintendo. This went until I was like 4.
I meant when the movie came out.
I had to be 14 because I think that was the last time I went over my friend's house. But we watched The Matrix there, and then I watched it again in high school. And really kind of fell in love with the series. Thought it was awesome. And then I was old enough when the sequels came out. I got to see those in theaters. And those, shockingly enough, a lot of people don't remember this, but they came out about 6 months apart. They filmed them back to back, and then they released them. And it was really good, man. I really loved that series. I found that a lot of people over time, their opinion on the Matrix trilogy has soured. Mine has not.
Maybe not the trilogy. The first one's in the top 10 IMDb all the time.
Yeah, I think it was like the sequels that some people really had a problem with, specifically the third one. Like when there's the big reveal in the third one, which I will not ruin for anybody, but there is a big moment in that where it kind of changes the perspective completely.
I lied. Matrix is number 16.
Well,
I apologize.
It's really good. It's a really good trilogy.
I've never seen them.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
I once watched some of it at a friend's house, and I was like, man, this looks dumb. So I was in middle school when I thought that. So
it's definitely got some good performances in it. Like, Keanu Reeves is really good.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne is really good. I'm very sad that he's not going to be in Matrix 4, apparently. That kind of bothers me.
Do you know of his daughter's profession?
No, what does his daughter do?
You can Google that after the show.
I'm assuming it's something very...
She's in the adult film industry.
I was going to say it has to be porn. Based on the way you're tap dancing around, it has to be porn. Well, I mean, hey, good for her. Get your money, I guess. But I've heard recently that some of them don't even get paid that well. That was a huge controversy on Twitter.
It's not that. People don't look into it.
I don't know.
The whole Mia Khalifa thing. Only getting paid $12,000.
Yeah.
The reason is because she quit before she became famous.
Well, yeah.
So, like, she would have made money if she stayed with it, but she only did porn for, like, 3 months. And then retired.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. Just putting this out there. You know, if the pay isn't that good, don't do it. Like, I mean...
It would have been great if she stayed with it.
Probably.
If she goes back, she'll be a millionaire. Guaranteed.
I think there was one in the 90s that was really big. Jenna Jameson, I think, was her name. And I remember she was so big at one point, they had a Blu-ray that they sold that was, like, I guess, interactive or something. It was a really big deal for a long time. But so I will be seeing Matrix 4. Andy, any chance of you watching the trilogy?
I'll watch it.
I mean, you watch all kinds of
I'll
other
have to
stuff.
watch the 3 and watch this.
Yeah, I really want to get the trilogy
Maybe
on 4K.
Maybe it'll be the movie I come down to Florida to watch with you that we won't end up watching.
Well, they recently redid the movie theater in the West Oaks Mall, which...
The one I broke down at?
No. It's actually closer to my house. But, you know, that one is also a good theater, though. They recently redid the West Orange 5.
When my car's broken down, I was at a theater.
Mm-hmm.
I texted you to pick me up. 10 minutes passed. I thought to myself at one point, I was like, did I just get screwed over? And this dude, like, I'm not actually going to his house. He's not going to pick me up. I'm just stuck in Florida.
Wow.
And then he showed up.
You thought that I was, like, that crappy of a person? Like, what did you think?
Because it took forever for you to come, like... Then again, I was like, phone was dead. I was sitting in the middle of a parking lot by myself for a while.
Yeah.
I was like... I'm like, dang.
Well, there was an inordinate amount of traffic that night, and I felt like I got hit with every stoplight. And then, you know, before I left, I did have to explain to my wife why I'm leaving the house at midnight.
And this Mustang with the purple swordfish logo shows up.
Yeah, dude. I can't believe you thought, like, when you think you're going to go to the address and be like a blank, like a empty lot, no house.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's been like a completely empty. I don't know. It's just like...
I ripped you off for computer parts.
Yeah. No, I would show up to the address. My computer would be there. But it'd be a completely empty house with just the parts there.
Yeah, exactly. So,
all right.
Yeah, Matrix 4, looking forward to it. I don't know how they're... By the way, I'm not trying to spoil anything for anybody, but I have no idea how they're going to make a sequel after the third one. But I don't know. I guess they'll work
It's
it
in
out.
the Matrix, bro.
Well, you know, it is the Matrix, so you kind of have a lot of creative flexibility. So
Speaking
moving
of
on.
Matrix,
Oh, okay. Go for it, Andy.
I think Matrix is probably owned by Disney. I don't know. Sony and Disney can't reach terms on Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spooderman, as you have here, which is like what I assume a Dutch person would call Spider-Man.
Spooderman.
Spooderman. Anyway, that sounded kind of Jamaican now. Anyway, I thought this was interesting just for the people's reactions to it. Like,
My initial thoughts is like, I don't care.
yeah.
I couldn't care less. And then I texted you. I was like, we're not talking about this on the show. I don't even want to mention it. But everyone on Twitter is so like, it's weird. It's so like everyone's just delusional. Like the Marvel fans are like, oh, they ruined the series. That one guy that works for Marvel is like, oh, Sony did, their stocks are going down, which the stocks aren't going down. They're actually going up. They're like, oh, their stocks are awful. What is all this? And then there's the people that are like, we're going to have to watch Uncle Ben die a fourth time. And then there's people, and then there's like the DC fans. So like, oh, look at this. They're boycotting Sony, blah, blah, blah. Even though for like the past 18 years, they've been Snyder cut, Snyder cut, Snyder cut. It's just like the dumbest thing ever. And I had to literally, I haven't been on Twitter for like 2 days because I was tired of it. Literally all Twitter is right now is Spider-Man and Popeye's chicken.
Yeah. I have a bone to pick with Popeyes, but we'll get into that later, I'm sure. Anyway, my thoughts on this are very similar. I'm not shocked by it. And the reason I'm not shocked by it is, like, it's business, man. And it's a hot license. Sony.
And also, it was Disney's fault, not Sony's fault.
You're right. I mean, they walked away from the deal just as Sony did. So it's a two-way street. And
if you want to go completely, Marvel shouldn't have sold Spider-Man in the first place.
Yeah.
If you're mad at anyone, you had to be mad at Marvel.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't care that Sony didn't make this deal with Disney, and here's why. One, I feel like the Raimi trilogy, which was done by Sony with their oversight, was the best. I also think that their treatment of Spider-Man in Into the Spider-Verse was the best movie treatment I've ever seen, period, of a Spider-Man. Like, it's the best Spider-Man movie, I'm sorry. And Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man in, like, the MCU has been, to me, above average. I'm not going to say it's bad, but I'm not going to say it's great either. I watched Homecoming. I haven't watched Far From Home yet. I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna get that when it hits home release. And you know, in the Avengers
theater, so
in the Avengers movies, I believe he was in 2 of those. I want to say he was in Infinity War.
Oh, okay. Infinity War Endgame.
Okay, so he was in.
No,
3.
he died in Infinity War. Spoiler.
Spoiler. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really heartbroken over it, and I'm certainly not part of the outraged community. What I will say is this: like, the toxicity with people in superhero movies is just reached intolerable levels for me.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to the point where I remove myself from any discussion regarding it. Like, when people want to start talking about superhero movies and DC's better than Marvel, or Marvel's better than this one, Sony does this better than Disney, and I just tune out completely. And then, like, I mean, just to give you an idea here, like on Twitter, I just started muting people and muting words like Avengers, Infinity War, James Gunn, Justice League, Marvel Sheep, Marvel Studios, MCU. These are all terms that I have over 40 here that I've actually muted on Twitter because I cannot stand Snyder Cut discussions. Mute all of it. Can't stand it. Doesn't mean that much to me. And a lot of these
not gonna be a good movie.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it'll change things that much, but I could be wrong.
Zack Snyder is not a Scorsese or Kubrick.
I just don't think that there's any greed here. I think that's the problem, is that a lot of people are saying that like there's some kind of greed in this. Like, I'm sure Sony, if they had the right deal, would have loved to let Disney make the movies, collect a check, and move on their merry way. But the terms just
and they're
weren't
not
there.
killing Tom Holland either. They're planning on doing a Tom Holland. They want Tom Holland to do 2 more movies, and I'm pretty sure they want Tom Hardy and Tom Holland to do something together.
Boy, that'd be so cool. Because I think anything with Hardy would be a good thing. And I really enjoyed the Venom movie. I thought it was, again, I wouldn't say it was great. I thought it was above average. I thought they brought a lot to the Venom character that I didn't think would be brought to the table. So a little bit unfortunate for the MCU fans, but I'm sure they'll get over it eventually. They're going to get X-Men or Fantastic Four, and they'll just move on. Anyway, DCD Film Club this week was the Patreon pick, and it comes from Daniel.
Yep. Speaking of comic books.
I'm broke. Wait, what?
Speaking of comic books, Daniel. Reasons I'm broke.
There you go. Yeah, he's a comic book guy for sure. In Bruges came out 2008. It's got Colin Farrell and some other people whose names I've already forgotten. Shame on me for that.
It is directed by Martin McDonough or something like that. McDonough. It is a comedy thriller. Drama crime movie.
Yeah, it's kind of, this is another one of those movies where I don't know if there's a genre.
A bunch of different things.
Yeah, I don't know if I could put it in one genre.
It's about a guy. He does his first. It's about 2 Irish assassins. This guy does his first assassination. He goes and kills this priest. He accidentally kills a little boy. And then they go to Bruges, where they're waiting for their next mission or whatever. And that's where the story starts off. In Bruges, Belgium.
Yeah.
And in preparation for this, I watched Martin McDonough's first film, and the only film before this, 7 Psychopaths. And they are very similar in that the entire movie is about the title of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
yeah.
What'd
you think of the movie, Alexander?
Well, this was the first time I ever watched this. And being friends with Daniel for a very long time, I've heard him talk about this movie many times. I think it's one of his favorites. And I was kind of blown away by this movie. It really surprised me. I was kind of lamenting Colin Farrell the other day because I don't think I'd ever seen a Colin Farrell movie that I liked. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I even went on his... yeah, you guys know how I felt about The Lobster. So, Colin Farrell, I haven't really cared for anything that he's done. Something about him. I don't know what it is. But this breaks that trend. This is a really good movie. I liked it for a couple reasons. Number one, it's kind of a dark comedy. They call it a black comedy crime film on Wikipedia. I think that's actually a pretty good way of summing it up. There were a lot of funny moments in it, like, you know, when his buddy is gonna off him, Brendan Gleeson's character Ken, when he's about to
Spoiler.
Well, come on, it came out in '08.
If you haven't seen this movie, the entire thing is on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, I didn't
found
know
that out. The entire movie's on YouTube.
There you go. I mean, but like that moment where he was about to shoot, and then, you know, Colin Farrell's character puts the gun to his head, you know, and he's gonna commit suicide. Like, that was funny, you know, and the reaction when they found out what was going on was funny. And it's the other thing too is it's entertaining as well. Like, the story had me wondering like what's gonna happen next. You know, about midway through the movie, the Harry character comes into play. Like, you know, you heard him on the phone and all that, but like at that point in the movie, I was like, that could have been the end of the movie when he gets on the train, right? And he just goes away. And I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do for the rest of the 40 minutes here or so. And it just goes, the story just goes in this completely different direction, and it's very unexpected, and it had me kind of wondering what was going to happen next. It always left me wanting more. And the ending, I think, is just, it's brilliant. The ending is brilliant.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way for them to have ended the movie. The writing on this is great. It won multiple awards for the
nominated for an
screenplay. It got nominated for an Oscar, justifiably so. Shot incredibly well. It's beautifully done. I love the score of the movie. I don't know if it's original music made for the movie. I'm assuming it is, or if they maybe licensed music, but whatever it was, it was great. Very memorable story. Great ending. Lots of funny moments. Can't say enough good things about this one. Colin, it's so good. I might go watch another Colin Farrell movie.
Well, Seven Psychopaths, his first movie, is Colin Farrell also, by the way. Same director and everything. I don't have anything bad to say about the movie, but I don't have anything great to say about it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't find it funny, but I understood it was a comedy. I appreciate the script. Like, I appreciate this movie on paper and how everything has a cause and effect. How everything's built up in the beginning. Like, it's the whole movie set up for the ending.
Yeah.
So there's where they talk about, like, he goes up to the top of the bell tower or whatever. He looks down. He does the shoot thing. And then later in the movie, you think he's going to do that. But he also mentioned about the fog at night earlier in the movie. That has thing. And then they mentioned about, I forgot what happened. It was like, what if they attack you with a bottle? And later in the movie, they attack you with a bottle. It's a woman. He punches them.
There's a lot of foreshadowing.
It's a bunch of, like, setting up.
Yeah.
And would probably make this movie great to rewatch and find a little, like, oh, that's, look at that. They say this and that happens. And then I kind of, Colin Farrell's character, he, the whole time he's sad because he killed a child.
Yeah.
And then, but like the entire movie, his character is a child. Like, he acts like a child the entire movie. He's impatient. He's like, why are we in the city? He doesn't care about the culture. He just wants to go out, have a fun time. And he's like, the whole time, like, at one point, like, he's sitting in the windowsill. He's like, oh, it's not going to rain. He's complaining about dumb things that only a child would complain about. And then, I watched some videos on it, because, like, I was like, I don't know. I want to bring something to the conversation. And someone was mentioning that this movie was, the whole movie, Bruges, the city, is purgatory. And he's waiting for his punishment from his crime for killing the Pope and the little kid. But that kind of unravels itself when you, at point in the movie where he tries to escape. Like, if it was purgatory, he wouldn't be able to escape. Which I realize he does eventually have to go back. But, you know, he escaped he tried to, at least, in the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a bunch of, like, Catholic themes going on the entire time. You're at this medieval city, and there's a bunch of, like, paintings. Like, there's one where it's like Jesus standing over, like, the Last Judgment or whatever.
Yeah.
So on paper, I like the movie, but I don't know. I didn't really. Maybe if I was, like, in a different mood, different state of mind, I would have really appreciated it. But I just didn't see anything. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just fine.
I think it's. I mean, I guess
nothing stand out. Nothing was bad. Like,
I just
the score was all right. The visuals are all right. It was a completely just okay. It was fine. And I could see why people love it. I could see why people could hate it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like most movies that we cover on here, I probably liked it a lot more than you did. But
yeah, I mean, some of them.
I don't know. I just thought it was really good. I love by the end of it, I just loved the Ken character. Like, he basically sacrifices himself to give somebody else a chance. You know, and I thought that was kind of a cool moment. You know, like, he comes to the realization, and it's you can kind of, if you blink, you'll miss it. But there's a point in the movie where Ken is talking to Harry, and he's basically saying, Ray, he's young enough to where he could turn things around, he could become a good person, right? But we're too far gone. There's so much blood on our hands. We're just so far gone. And I thought that was really cool.
Also, Ken he's not an assassination. He doesn't assassinate people because of enjoyment. He's doing it because he's forever indebted to Harry. Like, he's not there because he wants to kill people.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Like, overall, the entire movie, he's a good person.
Yeah, he's not... It's kind of one of those weird things where there's different shades of black, if that makes sense, right? Like, what I mean by that is evil, there's evil, and then there's malice, and there's somebody doing it's still a bad thing, but for the wrong reasons. And I feel like that's kind of where the Ken character lands. It's like, yeah, he's not a great guy, but he's doing bad things for a reason that is kind of out of his control. They kind of glanced over his past. I wish if there was one thing I would have loved to get a little bit more information on, and maybe that's part of the mystique of the movie, is I would really like to know more about all three of the main characters who are running this operation. Harry, Ray, Ken. Like, why are they doing this? Why is he forever indebted? Why are they killing a priest? What's the motivation?
Something you take away from this movie, it kind of like leaves how like morals and rules should be evaluated situation by situation and not just by the rules themselves. Because like the whole time, like when they're high on coke, they have like the two prostitutes and the midget, and they're in that room.
It's a great scene.
And Ken is like, my wife was black. A white man killed my wife. Whose side do I fight on in this war between white and black people?
Yeah. It was like, and when I saw that, it's like you get that glimpse behind the curtain. You get a little bit more information on Ken, and you're like, I wish I had more of it. Because I would really have loved a little bit more exposition on all three of those characters, but it just wasn't meant to be.
I almost accidentally slipped a spoiler, but that has a relation to his first movie that I can't say without spoiling the first movie.
Yeah.
That I just realized now. I don't know.
It's really good, though.
So, Alexander, what would you rate it out of 10?
This one's a tough one. I feel like it's definitely one of the best ones we watched on here. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I recommend anybody watch this.
A 6.
Yeesh.
Yeah. I don't know.
I guess I really like the theme because it's like morality is relative. Like, people don't realize that, but it is relative to a point. And like, what's immoral here? Like, so for example, I eat a hamburger. I don't even think of it. Overseas, that would be considered desecrating a sacred animal by some people's. It's kind of So like, it's just kind of like it is. I think that's a good theme on this movie, and I think it's brilliantly written. I would encourage everybody to check it out. So, Andy, it's your pick next week, and you have on here. I can't wait to watch this one. You have
obviously not what we're watching.
No. It's on the notes. So we are watching Night at the Museum, Battle of Smithsonian.
All right, I'll check out what. No, for realness. I wanted to pick a movie to where I could kind of potentially backseat it and let you carry forth the conversation.
Okay.
Because next week I'll be in college. I just don't know how the podcast thing is going to situate. I don't know where I'm recording. All that. I'll be in the dorms. So potentially, something that I feel like you would have a lot to talk about and would really like, and something that I know you haven't seen. At least I think you haven't seen it. And then I also had to pick something that I've watched before, so like, just in case I couldn't watch it, or I could watch it and like kind of have it on but not fully pay attention to it, you know?
Okay.
So I picked a movie that I've seen. It was my second favorite movie of last year, and it is Annihilation. It's a science fiction movie starring Natalie Portman.
Ooh.
It's directed by Alex Garland. His only other work was Ex Machina.
Oh, this came out in 2018.
Yeah. This was my second favorite movie last year, Alex. It is
Oh,
on
I missed that. My bad.
Hulu. If you don't have Hulu, you're gonna have to pay a steep price. It's on Amazon Prime, Vudu, YouTube, Google Play. It's $7.99 on Prime and Vudu, $12.99 on YouTube, Google Play, but it's on Hulu, so you should probably check it out there. Or you can Redbox it, probably cheaper, because it's a new movie.
Oh, really?
Newish movie.
Oh, well.
It came out in like February last year.
I'll have to look
It's
this
my top
up.
rated movie for a while. Have you seen Ex Machina?
No, I have not seen that movie.
Also a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I love sci-fi stuff though, so I'm kind of looking forward to this.
He
one.
also did I don't know if he directed it. I'm pretty sure Ex Machina Annihilation I don't think he directed, but he had something to do with 28 Days Later.
Oh, I actually really like 28 Days Later.
He wrote the script to 28 Days Later.
Oh man.
He apparently also wrote Devil May Cry, the reboot video game.
Really? God, this guy's all over the place.
And he also wrote Dread. Like the Dread, the DCD Film Club Dread.
Oh my god. I'm trying not to get hyped about this.
So, it's a science fiction movie. I know you'll love it.
Well, I look forward to watching that. You know, I gotta say, man, just a thing out there about Night at the Museum, since we almost watched that.
Yeah. I almost picked Night at the Museum.
You know, they're making another one of those.
There's no way.
Like, wasn't 2 enough?
I'm pretty sure there is 3.
There's 3?
If they're making one, they're making a 4th one.
The 3rd one had to have been like direct.
Yeah, there's
to
Night at
home
the
release.
Museum, Night at the Museum, the Battle for the Smithsonian, the best one, and the Secret Tomb.
I had no idea there was a 3rd one. That kind of blows my mind.
If you want to watch Night at the Museum, it's on Prime, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu for $3.99. If you want to watch Night at the Museum, Battle for the Smithsonian, a movie that I watched in a Chicago theater in the very front row.
Nah, dude, I don't know. It shocks me, but then again, that happens sometimes. Like when I was working at GameStop and somebody traded in a copy of Inspector Gadget 2, and I was like, I didn't even know this movie friggin' existed, and I watched it, and boy, let me tell you,
You could trade in movies?
Yeah, dude. When I worked at GameStop, you could trade in DVDs, and what happened was at first, this is when we were EB Games, and then later we were GameStop, obviously. Yeah. But when we first started taking DVDs at EB Games, we were giving people stupid amounts of money for DVDs. But the company wasn't smart enough to realize DVDs did not hold value back then. Some of the Disney stuff did, but
Disney or Criterion.
Yeah, DVDs just did not hold value back then. So we were giving $7 or $8 for these DVDs and then trying to sell them for 10. And I just remember we ended up clearancing them out. And then I went to another store, and I mean, at one point in one of my stores, we had 2 bins full of used DVDs. Could not get rid of them, and we ended up shipping them to Movie Stop. I don't know if you know what Movie Stop is, but GameStop owned a company called Movie Stop, and it was kind of like, imagine a Blockbuster that's basically run by GameStop, because that's what it was.
What's Blockbuster? Oh, jokes. I'm kidding. I know what it is. There's one still in existence.
Isn't it like in Alaska or something?
It's in Washington.
I got to tell you, man, I miss Blockbuster. Those were good times.
Speaking of Washington, the Redskins are in the same division as the Cowboys, and the Cowboys extended Jaylon Smith.
Now that's
5
a
years,
segue.
$64 million, $35.5 million guaranteed. The first to extend, not Zeke, not Dak, not Amari Cooper, but Jaylon Smith.
I feel like you got to do it. I feel like you got to pay him.
It's a relatively cheap contract.
It is a pretty affordable deal, and the $35 million guaranteed is good. My original thought is Jaylon Smith probably took a lower annual amount to have that guarantee a little bit higher.
Yeah,
we've seen a lot,
unfortunately,
of players do that recently. Specifically, the one that comes to mind is Le'Veon Bell. He took a higher guarantee for a lower annual value, and which actually kind of smart thing to do if you're Le'Veon Bell, who has had injury issues himself. But I like it. I think it's a good move for the Cowboys. I think it still gives them plenty of room.
Affects them re-signing Deke, Zach, Amari Cooper,
no.
Byron Jones.
No, I think that they have maybe a Byron Jones, but I think that they have a number in mind. Jerry Jones is a smart man when it comes to putting together contracts, staying under the salary cap. The Cowboys have never really been in salary cap hell that I can remember. Like, in my salary cap hell, I mean like what the Redskins were a couple of years ago, where they were over the cap and they couldn't sign anybody, and the contracts that they had were really bad contracts. Like, I can't recall the Cowboys ever being there.
The Charlotte Hornets right now.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. You're capped out. You're a middle of the road team. I think the Cowboys, specifically Jerry Jones, I think there's a number in his mind where Dak, Cooper, Elliott all get re-signed for X number. And I think it'll happen. And Byron Jones, I think, is another guy they're going to keep. But it's going to get expensive quick in Dallas.
Speaking of Le'Veon Bell, it's not on the doc, but this is kind of news. Apparently, the halfbacks of the NFL are going to make their own player association and be separated from the rest of the league.
It's not the worst idea. And the reason I say that is they've kind of got a bum deal in the past. And the running back position is very, very, very limited in terms of career span. I think it's one of the shortest career spans out there. And it kind of makes sense. The other thing that I'm surprised hasn't already happened is that there aren't two associations for younger players versus veteran players.
Rookies versus vets.
Because I'll tell you right now, man, those rookies get screwed every time the CBA comes up. Because, the Players Association, I mean, this happens in the NBA, NHL, MLB, you name it.
Yeah.
Those Players Associations and or unions, they always look out for the experienced guys, not necessarily
because they're ran by the experienced guys.
Exactly. So, surprised that hasn't happened yet.
The Chris Pauls and that one tackle that played for the Bengals. I don't remember his name.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name either. But good move. Good move. I like Jaylon Smith. He's really, for a guy who they thought might not even be able to contribute because of injuries, he's had a really good career so far. Speaking of another guy who has had another really good career so far, Jakeem Grant got an extension.
Jakeem Grant, big play.
Yeah.
One of the best return men in the game. Signs a 4-year, $24 million. I couldn't find the guaranteed money. That's a relatively cheap deal, so I assume most of it's guaranteed.
It's a great story.
It's a super cheap deal for a dynamic playmaker in Jakeem Grant.
Yeah, and before he got hurt last year, he was making a little bit of a splash as a third or fourth receiver for that team down there in Miami. Originally he was drafted strictly as a special teams player.
Yeah.
He was, if you want to become a Jakeem Grant fan, I would encourage you to watch the last season of Undrafted from the NFL Network. He was one of the, I think, 4 or 5 players that were featured on Undrafted, and he was supposed to be undrafted, and he got drafted very early. It was kind of a shocking moment, but he's a really, really good dude. Comes from very modest means, and I've always kind of rooted for the kid just because, Seen him on undrafted. Then he had such a great year in Miami. Now he's kind of becoming a wide receiver as well as a special teams guy. And always, like, every time that guy touches the ball,
touchdown potential.
The other team has to be shaking in their boots, man.
Yeah, he's part of the Tyreek Hill position of he doesn't have a position. It's just he's faster than everyone on the field.
Yeah,
every play he can score, and he's like halfback, wide receiver, return man. Just throw him everywhere on the field. He's just so dynamic. He can do.
Just get him the ball, man.
Yeah.
See what happens. So it's the next topic. I know Andy's got to be a little bit sad about this.
Fast things. Chris Sale's fastball. I'm just doing dumb segues at this point.
I kind of like
Chris Sale out for the rest of the year due to inflammation in his elbow. It was revealed yesterday. I would have sadder news, but it's all right now. Revealed that there's no tear and be reevaluated in 6 months. So he's fine. Should be back and healthy for 2020. But this is basically the Red Sox were getting kind of hot. We could potentially make a wild card, but this is kind of the nail in the coffin of the season's over.
Really?
Which kind of sucks because Rafael Devers is a top 5 guy in the MLB. I'll say that right now. Rafael Devers is insane right now.
He's red hot.
And Mookie Betts. You have Rafael Devers. Xander Bogut's best shortstop in the MLB. Maybe I'm being biased, but he's at least top 5. Top 5 third baseman, top 5 shortstop, top 5 outfielder Mookie Betts. Probably the best designated hitter in JD Martinez. But the team literally just can't save. Like, the bullpen's so awful.
It happens, man. I mean,
I forgot the number now, but during the trade deadline, it was 18 blown saves.
They are the unsung heroes of baseball, and as sabermetrics have become a thing, I think it's gotten a little bit less so. But it's all about relief pitching in today's MLB. Yeah. I mean, your bullpen is, I know closers get a lot of attention, but those 7th and 8th inning guys, they are middle crucial. Inning guys. Yeah, and like, it's really crucial. And that's kind of why I was a little bit upset with the Marlins. Like, they traded away some good bullpen pieces. And that's just not really a good look if you're going to try to compete anywhere in the near future. But then again, I don't think the Marlins are trying to compete at all. But look at the Nationals. The Nationals were supposed to be a very good team this year. And
they're still second in the division.
Yeah, but their bullpen has kind of screwed them this year.
Second in the division where they're very far behind the Braves.
Yeah, well, and the Braves are getting a nice little series right now with the Marlins. It looks like they're going to sweep them tomorrow.
The Nationals are... Oh, they're only 6 games back. They're coming back. But the Braves are having such a great season.
Yeah, everything has come together for the Braves, and like, to me, it's a blueprint that the Marlins should look at. Like, if the Marlins are smart, they're going to be trying to figure out how to build a contender without having to spend a lot of money. I get that's the reality. They're not going to spend a lot of money. Not right now, at least. So, look at the Braves. Like, a lot of those guys came out of their farm system.
Look at the Rays.
But, the Marlins keep trading for these prospects, man. They're just so high risk, high reward. And it's like, why not just do like the Rays do? Just get some young players that are good. Yeah. And maybe they're not going to be superstars, but you can have a good team of full.
What was that trade?
I'm also just realizing the Brewers.
Chris Archer trade.
Dude, the Chris Archer trade was really, really unbalanced. Like, when you think about what you... and that's what I would do if I'm the Marlins. Those trades for Yelich, trade for Stanton. I realized the Stanton trade, they were basically not sending any money to the Yankees on a guy that's massively overpaid. So I totally get, Like, you don't get that much back.
Yeah.
But Yelich was on a really, really team-friendly deal. You know, they should have gotten a haul like the Rays got for Chris Archer, which...
Yeah, they got a Cy Young candidate back, and then they got Charlie Morton and who else? God dang it, I can't forget. But they got a player that contributes to the team a lot. Like one of the best players. I think it's his leadoff man. I'm completely blanking on his name. Chris Archer trade.
Austin Meadows.
Yeah, Austin Meadows. Great player.
Yeah, Austin Meadows is, to me, the best piece that they got back. And that's saying a lot. So, I don't know, dude. Chris Archer, by the way, has never really reached his potential. I always felt like that guy was overrated. So, speaking of overrated, doing a crappy Andy segue. I can't do it as good as Andy does. The XFL teams were revealed.
Oh, I didn't even have that topic in my notes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
XFL teams were revealed.
Yeah.
So who you standing? Who are you a lifelong fan of?
I guess I got to be a Tampa fan, right? I mean,
yeah. Is it just me, or are these teams just like bad? They're like movie quality names and logos.
It feels very Blitz the League.
Yeah.
You know, and some of these names. Houston Roughnecks.
I'm a lifelong St. Louis Battlehawks fan.
I'm trying to figure out.
They have like cool names like Roughnecks, Battlehawks, but then you have Wildcats, the most typical high school name ever.
It's a very Pee Wee football-esque name there. Dallas Renegades.
The Washington Defenders would be hilarious if their defense sucks.
I mean, I guess that is true. Defenders, yeah. I don't know. I like some of them. Seattle Dragons makes sense. There's a huge Japanese community over in Washington State, specifically Seattle. So I feel like that one, to me, that works, right? Ties into... I like team names that tie into the locale.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. Like, one of my biggest things that I've never really liked was, you know, the name Orlando Magic. I don't like that team name. I really don't. And a lot of people associate it with Disney, and it's like Disney doesn't own the team, but whatever. You know, but I like names like Miami Dolphins. That makes sense, you know, right there by Miami Beach.
Yeah. The St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, though, right?
There's blues music in St. Louis.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's why, like, when the New Orleans Pelicans changed their name from the Hornets, I was like, okay, you know, like, Pelicans, the state bird of Louisiana, makes a lot of sense. But I don't know, dude. Some of these names,
I don't know.
St. Louis Battlehawks.
I'm a long stan, but
Tampa Bay Vipers.
Looks like we're running out of time, Alexander.
Yeah.
I think it's time to wrap up.
Oh, man, I want to make fun of the XFL some more. I was going to say, Tampa Bay Vipers, you think like Randy Orton will make an appearance? I want to see what the XFL is actually going to look like, man.
Watch it.
Yeah, dude. It was pretty crazy last time. They used to, like, to try and get people to go to XFL games, they used to have WWE wrestlers show up to the games. Anyway, 1 minute of promotion here. We got t-shirts, link in the description for that. I want to thank our Patreon backers. We have Daniel and Bobby in the Andy tier. We got Jared in the gold tier. Check out patreon.com/DCD podcast to check out our Patreon. There are all kinds of great benefits there. Starting at $1 a month, you get early access to the show as well.
And you can suggest movies for DCD Film Club.
You do get to suggest movies. We sent out decals to all of our Patreon backers just this past week. Those should be pretty much out to everybody by now, by the time this goes up. So that's pretty cool. And then also, if you're watching this, you want to see the audio only version, or if you're listening to the audio only version, you want the video version, go to deadchannelduo.com. At the very top, there's a link to every single platform that we're on. And even if you don't want to back us on Patreon, you want to help us out, leave us an iTunes review. Helps us out a lot. Andy, anything else you want to talk about?
Jimmy Garoppolo's performance wasn't really that bad if you think about it.
Wait, how?
He didn't look confident in his knee.
Yeah.
He's throwing, like, the knee that he has to lead to pass.
We'll see, man. I'm like, we'll talk about it more next week on the NFL special, but I got a lot of confidence in Jimmy G and the 49ers this year. Anyway, that's going to do it for DCD 43. We'll see you guys next week.
It's just business, man.